maybe I gotta increase the Kobe count and the Brook count, because it feels really bad when you can't KO something with the Moria combo, especially after you establish something like an Isho. I feel like it's really neg if you can't do that. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's ADAKAI TCG here, and I'm coming at you with another deck profile video with some gameplay, but we're going to be jumping ahead into the future a little bit, and I'm going to be talking about Smoker, who's going to get a little bit of a revival when in the 8.5 meta. And so, as many of you probably already know, Smoker has a starter deck that's coming out. It's an updated starter deck, and with that, he gains some new support, and we're trying some of that out. This is kind of like my first iteration of the deck list. I was playing it through, already see some areas in which I could probably make some more adjustments, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit too. But let's go ahead and talk about the leader first, because it's been a long time since he's been in the meta. But he's a mono black leader, 5k power with a special attribute, meaning he also has 5 life because he's a mono black. And so he's a Navy type, and his effect is when you attach a Dawn to him, you can activate main once per turn, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost during this turn. Then, if there is a character with 0 cost in play, this leader gains 1,000 power for the turn, meaning that once he deducts 1, and if there's a 0 cost, any 0 cost in play, you can make him basically a 7k leader for your turn. And so, really good. 1 Dawn for 1k power if you can meet that threshold. We've seen how destructive that is in Katakuri. But it's a little bit of a harder condition to meet, right? Because they'd have to have someone that's a 0 cost on the board, which, yeah, you need some sort of reduction to get that threshold. But with that being said, let's talk about the cards in the deck list. And so we're running primarily a Navy package. And I guess the way I'll talk about this first is, let's just go through it in order. Yeah, it's okay. We'll go through it in order. So we'll talk about the 3-cost Brook. I saw a lot of decks weren't running this, but what I found kind of awkward in this deck, and maybe it's just my bad habits of how I've been playing Rebecca, is I found that like there were turns where I'd establish cost reduction like Kuzan or Isho, but then like my Moria follow-up play couldn't KO anything because there was no target for Rebecca to grab that could take advantage of the KOing. And so maybe this deck actually doesn't cadence like that as much, and maybe it's supposed to be played slightly differently. But regardless, I teched in 2 Brooks. It's not searchable, but it's okay because even if you trash it, it's just, you know, you play it from your trash from Rebecca. But honestly, I may end up dropping these 2 Brooks and adding in like 2 more Kobe, because Kobe was like a low-key MVP in this deck, and Kobe's also Navy. It also lets you trash a card from hand, which may sound bad in some cases, but things like a Kuzan can be stuck in dead in hand anyway, so if you get that in trash, you can at least play it back out for free with Gecko Moria. And so there was a couple things where I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe I'll drop these 2 Brooks, add 2 more Kobe's. But for now, this is the deck that I'm running, and so we'll test it out a little bit more before we make any changes. We're running 4 copies of T-Bone. He is a 2k counter with the 5 cost, 5k power. On play, he KOs an opponent's 2 cost or lower character, meaning he's a KO option that we have, right? And so he's a little bit more expensive, but that's okay because he's also a 2k that can be both fished out by Rebecca, searched by Brand New, and this is a card we're going to get to in the future, but utilized in the Sengoku effect too. And so we're running that at a 4 of. We're running 2 copies of Kuzan, the 4-drop. Really good to see on turn 2, but with the way this deck plays out, you have a lot of mid-range plays that you want to make, and so yeah, I think 2 of's okay. Maybe could bump it up to 3, but the deck list is very tight, and so yeah, I think certain adjustments can be made where you run the set of 3 of, and maybe Borsellino at a 2 of, depending on the flavor. But then We're running a lot of bricks too, and no zero cost counter events, and so our only saving grace from that is the Sengoku here, who's able to kind of cycle out our hands. But yeah, we'll talk about that in the future. But running it at 2 of for now, and then 2 of the Kobe. He's a 3 cost 4K power with a 1K counter, and on play you can trash a card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. Being a 3 cost 4K stat line is okay. It's not fantastic, but what we do like is that he hits a threshold of a cost of 3, meaning that, obviously with Smoker's ability, it hits a 4, and then if you have any other cost reduction out, you're going much higher from that. We're running 2 copies of Sakazuki. He's a 6 cost 7K body, no counter, but on play you can trash a card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. I like this card a lot, even though I hate Sakazuki himself as a character. But it's a really good card. He's able to KO a 5 cost, meaning you're able to KO a 6 cost if you can Smoker ability. And just being a 7K body means he's a big threat and a little bit stickier at a 6 cost. And so I really do enjoy this card. He can also be cycled and searched, and so we'll keep it at that. 2 of seems okay for now. Yeah, honestly, 2 of's okay for now because we'd much rather see the new Tashiki other than this card, but this is a good kind of like backup card too. We are running 4 copies of Suru. Definitely need this at a 4 of. It's a 2K counter, 1 cost 0K power. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2 costs during this turn. This is both the defensive 2K and also being able to be played out by Moria to minus something by an extra 2 cost in the future. And so just a really good card to have either in hand or in your trash. We're running 3 copies of Borsellino. I may reduce this down to 2. I think 3 is 1 too many. But for now, we'll keep it at 3. But it's a 4 cost 5K body, 1K counter. On your opponent's turn, it gets 1,000 power and cannot be KO'd by effects, meaning he's a 4 cost 6K on your opponent's turn and immune to any KOs. And so that's great, especially as a blocker as well. He's Navy with a counter, just really overstated blocker. Probably one of the best blockers in black, next to Sabo. And so running at a 3 of, can be searched, can be brought back out by Moria. It's a very flexible card. And that's what I really like about black is you can kind of adjust these numbers and ratios quite a bit because of Moria and because of Rebecca, right? Because you only honestly need it in trash to start recycling it and replaying it and just being like a menace, right? Because you have, 8 ways to recycle your cards. And that's ridiculous. And so, when you think about the 2 ofs and 3 ofs, it's actually really gets much more mileage, right, than any other deck because of Rebecca and because of Moria. And so it's good to think about your black deck like that. It's just need to see it once, just need to see it in trash. And so you'll notice there's a lot of these 2 ofs, and it may not work for a lot of the decks, and it may not have worked before, right? But now we have the new 1-drop Sengoku, and what he does is he's a 1 cost 1K power with a 1K counter, and on play you may trash 2 black Navy type characters from your hand. If your leader has the Navy type, draw 3 cards, right? And so we're able to filter out our hand immensely and then still stay even on the cards, right? Because you play this out, that's -1, trash 2, that's -3 total. But we get 1 body on the board, which is just a 1 cost 1K, that's okay. But then we draw 3 cards, right? So we're digging way deeper into our deck. Very strong card. And it allows us to get rid of bricks, right? So if we're fully bricked up with some of these bigger guys that we don't need, I guess you can't. Hold on. Yeah, no, it doesn't work against. It doesn't work with Kuzan, I believe. Actually, I have to test that. Navy type cards. Hold on. No, yeah. So you can't trash the 10-drop Kuzan. But that's okay. You're only running out of 2 of. But you can trash an Isho. You can trash your Kuzans, your Sakazukis. These cards just to dig a little bit deeper for some things that you may want to see, like a Tashigi. And so, still very good at cycling. Still very good at putting stuff in the trash. And it never feels bad to put certain things in the trash, right? Because we're able to grab it back by Rebecca earlier on. And then later on, we're able to grab it back by Gecko into Rebecca, into that, right? And so, very, very strong. So we're running it at a 4 of. It allows us to again, run these kind of more nuanced ratios. And so I think this deck may probably go through more and more iterations, and I'm going to be trying out more and more tech cards in the future. But for now, we'll keep it at this. We're running 2 copies of the 3-cost 4K TCG. This is a 2K counter, so that's a total of 10 2K counters that we're running, which is fine, especially because we're cycling our 2Ks a bunch with Rebecca and Moria, or just Rebecca, I guess. But yeah, so you can basically, what she does is activate main, rest this character, give up to one of your opponents -2 cost during this turn. And so this is another way to get cost reduction if you do need it. Otherwise, it's just a 2K counter that's searchable. We're running 4 copies of the Gecko Moria. I think this card is just an auto include most of the time across all decks. And so it's an 8 cost, 9K body on play. Choose up to one of your opponent. Choose up to 1 cost 4 and 1 cost 2 characters from your trash. Play 1 active and 1 rested. Most of the time, you're going to be grabbing either Rebecca and then maybe circumstantially Kuzan or Borsellino as needed. And then the cool thing about this deck is we have 3 options that we have for the second character. We have the brand new if we want to search deeper into our deck. We have Sengoku that can filter out our hand if it's dead, which is also really good. And then Suru, which can give us cost reduction. And so 3 different options that kind of allow us to do different things, right? I think in the game, I don't know if it was one of the ones recorded, but I had a pretty bricked hand. You know, I Gecko Moria into Rebecca into Sengoku. Sengoku ability first, trash 2 dead Navy cards from my hand to the trash. I think I drew into 2 2Ks, and then Rebecca grabbed me another 2K. And then so right there and then I fixed a completely dead hand to having 3 2Ks and then some 1Ks, right? And so very good. It let me survive that game, and then yeah, I was able to win. And so very cool to see those combos. Again, Rebecca, we all know what Rebecca does. 4 cost, 0K power, 1K counter, but it's a blocker. On play, return 1 black character other than Rebecca with a cost of 3 to 7 from the trash to your hand, then play 1 3 cost or less black character from your hand to the field rested. And so this card, the more I play it, the more flexible and more playlines there are. You can grab back with things like the Shigi, Sakazuki, Borsellino, Sabos, whatever you need, right? It doesn't have to be the one you're playing out. Especially if you already have a Kobe or broken hand, you can play those out. She can even play out a brand new if you have it in hand. Sengoku, Zuru just has to be less than 3 cost. She can't grab it from the trash, but she can at least play it out. And so, really good way to kind of see all the different variant playlines in the deck, right? And so, yeah, just think about those things during the game, because sometimes you may want to set up for a future turn, right? Like grab back a Sakazuki or Tashigi and then play out a brand new to dig and draw 1 more card that you may have needed. And so, very strong card. We're playing 2 copies of Sabo. This is another card I would argue maybe running at a 3 of, because it's such a good card and it allows us to do even more in the deck. Only reason why we're running it at a 2 of right now is because it's not a Navy card, and so it doesn't synergize as well with the rest of the deck, but it's so strong on its own, you may want to just run it at a 3 of. Maybe dropping a Borsellino down to 2, but it's a 5 cost 6K body, 1K counter, a blocker. So on play, your characters can't be KO'd by effects until the start of your next turn. You draw 2, trash 2. And so, again, this deck needs to really see all its pieces. And so any card that can draw you deeper and filter out your hand, set up your trash, it's really good. And so, plays into the whole idea and general strategy of the deck. And so 2 of for now. It can be fished out by Rebecca. That's why I only run it at 2 of. But again, I could see a world where I drop Borsellino down to 2, raises to 3, drop the Brooks, play more Kobe's. And so we'll see. We'll see. This is the first iteration. And so we're running 4 copies of brand new. I would keep this at 4 copies. But it's a 2-cost, 3K body, 1K counter. On play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Navy card other than brand new. Add it to your hand, then trash the remaining cards. Very good card. Sometimes it just allows us to really get the pieces that we need, right directly in hand. Other times, like, it allowed me to find a piece when I played the Moria play, where I'd go Moria into Rebecca into brand new, and then I trash a card that I really wanted Rebecca to pick up. And so, yeah, it's very flexible too. I definitely would keep this at a 4 of if you can. You could argue a 3 of, but 4 of seems fantastic. We're running 2 copies of the 8-cost E-Show. He's an 8-cost 9K body, and on play, it's great. He gets to, if your opponent has 6 or more cards, they have to trash 2 from their hand randomly. And so you get to pick the 2 randomly, and so very good. And then if you attach 1 Don to him, all of your opponent's characters get -3 cost. And so just further adding into what you want to do with the deck. It's an 8K, or it's a 9K body, meaning it's very hard to remove for your opponent, and so very good. And this is what's going to allow Smoker's Effect to start being live, right? And then we have, lastly, for the boss monster, is a 10-cost Kuzan. I really love this card. It was one of my favorite cards just in One Piece in general, just because I like Kuzan and I like the art. I like the alt art too. But he's a 10-cost 10K power, and on your turn, all your opponent's characters get -5 cost. And on play, you get to actually KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. And so basically, he's hitting a 5 cost on the board. If you already pre-established something like Tashigi or Kuzan or Brook, you know, you can further hit higher targets, right? Because those guys don't need a Dawn commitment to get the cost reduction, meaning now you can potentially hit like a 9 cost if you do have this Kuzan on board. But it does take some setup and some foresight of playing into that. But even then, just being able to pop a 5 cost is very relevant in the meta right now. And then he's really sticky, right? Being a 10K or 10 cost 10K means he's really hard for any opponent to deal with once he's on the board. And yeah, so we'll talk about the MVP card of the deck. This is the card you want a mulligan for. This is the card you really want to see multiple copies of because it's just so good. It's a 5 cost 6K body. It's a new Tashigi from the starter deck. 1K counter, and on play, if your leader is Smoker, give up to one of your opponent's -4 cost for the turn. And then activate main once per turn. If it's a turn this character was played, place up to one of your opponent's cost 0 characters into their trash. And so it's not a KO effect, meaning it gets by all the immune to KO effects. It's just a straight up trashing of a character. And so on your 6th on turn, you can hit a 5 cost, meaning you'll be able to deal with whatever your opponent summoned on the 5 cost turn. But even if you're going first, right, you get to deal with the 4 cost that they summoned, right? And so very, very strong card. I really like it. Running it at a 4 of. I found in this deck, this is the card that I mostly grab back from Rebecca because just being able to constantly replay this lets you not only develop kind of a stickier body, right, being a 5 cost 6K body, you get to also just really control your opponent's board. And so very good. This is kind of the card that allows Smoker to step back into the meta a little bit. And so have to run it at a 4 of. I would not cut this down at all. And last but not least, we have 3 copies of Ice Ages. We still are seeing a lot of big bodies being dropped. You know, I think even Dofi's still playing some big bodies right now. And so I'm running it a 3 of. 3 of seems good, especially because it can be searched, and especially because you can draw and fix your hand with Sengoku. And so, yeah, we're keeping it a 3 of for now. I do see a world in which it could go up or down depending on the meta, right? If there's going to be more big bodies, we could drop something and make it a 4 of. If there's not as many big bodies, we can drop it down to a 2 of maybe. And so this is the deck list, guys, and it's really fun. It's really interesting to pilot. Some other cards to consider that I think are good, but I need to really start testing and stress testing the deck. The 5 cost 7K Smoker that's not KOable by effects. I do want to try this out too. He has an ability that says Dawn times 1. As long as there's a character that costs 0, this character gains double attack. Meaning he's a 5 cost 7k body with double attack. Or 5 cost 8k, right? Because you attach that 1 Dawn. And that's really, really menacing, right? Because your opponent can't just remove it, using any arbitrary KO techniques. They have to use something like a TCG or some other way, like a bottom decking effect. And yeah, once he's on the board, if he's on the board later, he can close out the game for you, right? Double attack is not something to be messed around with. We saw that with Yamato, and so I think it's a really good consideration. Another consideration is Jack. Just a staple from 08. I think this card just has so much value, but only reason that I haven't been running it is because I have so many bricks in this deck. And I know we can kind of like self-mitigate the bricks, but yeah, it's maybe you can argue dropping a Kuzan for this, but yeah, we could add this in the future. I'm going to be testing it out a little bit. I'll try running it without the 10 cost Kuzan and maybe slotting in 2 to 3 Jacks. Only because Jack does play into like the card cycling, and it's just a really, really strong staple black card. And so it almost doesn't feel right not having him in the deck. But this is the first iteration, and so we'll see. But I really wanted to just get this video out there because I'm really excited for the starter decks, and this is going to be one of the ones that I try. This, and actually I'm excited for Purple Luffy and even Whitebeard. I kind of want to see what Whitebeard now feels like with kind of like the new tech that it's getting with less take from your own life sort of play lines, and so we'll see. But let's go into some gameplay. Thank you for listening to my long rant again. Yeah, and if you guys are watching this today when it releases, I do have a tournament coming up tonight at 7 p.m. EST. There's still some spots available, so I'll put the link in the description as well if you are interested in that. And with that being said, let's get to the videos. Alright, so we're up against a Dofi. We'll see how this deck plays. He chose to go first. I'm going to actually mulligan this hands. I want to see my Tashigis early because I think they're going to be really important in this match. But this isn't a terrible hand either. I was worried about how wide the Dofi can go before I can start mitigating the board. We're just going to pass over. We'll take the first one. Great, so we have the Tashigi, which is great. I'm just going to swing big into this Law. Then we have Tashigi for next turn, so we'll be able to at least control some of the stuff that he's playing into us. So we take a Boa Hancock. This deck got so consistent with the release of the starters. Okay, so he just summons the Weevil, which is not as terrible for us. We'll take this one as well. We can hopefully start to stabilize here. I can just go ahead and send this to trash. I can swing 7 here. Actually, I forgot. I can get puddinged, and that's really bad. Okay, let's pray he doesn't pudding me. Otherwise, next turn I can also E-show him. He'll probably swing 8 and then summon. Oh, why would he swing just 7? Interesting. I mean, we'll take it. We'll take it for sure. Oh, because he wants to play another Sengoku. Okay, that makes sense. We'll just keep setting up here, I think. So next turn I'll be at 10 Dawn. I need to get this Rebecca into trash. and maybe a Suru. My problem with this deck so far is maybe I'm playing it too much like starter Luffy, but I don't seem to get as much value with the Moria plays other than kind of going wide. Like the Rebecca grabs me like 2Ks, but I don't really mitigate and remove the board at a certain point. Which maybe that's not what I'm supposed to be doing with the deck. Who knows? Let's see what he plays out with that. Okay, so we will give a 2K and a 1K. Yeah, so here, like, you play, I guess I can brand new, right? And so maybe that's the play line. Because nothing will KO at this point. Or maybe I just Sengoku and draw 3. Yeah, let's do that. Nope, that was absolutely the wrong call. I should have been able to swing 7 there. I don't know why I didn't use a leader effect. Hey, but we're in a little bit of trouble here, actually. Because they're just going to fill the board up again, but we can't really do too much about it at this point. Not until I see a Kobe being trash or a Brook. Oh, that is rough. If he gets another Jinbei off of this, I'm like extremely cooked. Oh, okay. So we actually have a chance here. Yeah, it has to be the Moria. We'll grab like a 2K, play out the Kobe, use card action. KO that, attack that. I will actually get the benefit this time. We'll attack that. And then we're gonna go swing 7. Maybe I gotta increase the Kobe count and the Brook count because it feels really bad when you can't KO something with the Moria combo, especially after you establish something like an Isho. I feel like it's really neg if you can't do that. Ooh, that's rough. So he bottom decked this. I won't be able to reuse this now, but I think we do need a double counter here. Yeah, we just kind of try to get as many cards out of his hand as possible here. I don't think he has a rush, so I think we just win. Yeah, it's over. Nice. So, as you can see, this deck does have some legs, though, so we'll go on to another match. Alright, so we're up against a Bonney player. They're choosing the turn order. They're probably going to take second, because Smoker really does prefer to go second. Just with how the matchup goes, but... Oh, they chose to go first. Okay. This hand is incredibly greedy. I will definitely mulligan. And alright, this hand's much better. I have no way of getting rid of that during turn 1. That's okay. We're just going to pass over. If she does search, we can swing into it, then summon Kuzan next turn. Oh, no cards to draw. So they did low roll a little bit here. Ah, but they got the beige. We're going to take this first hit. We have 2 10-drops, which is kind of bricky. Do I play the greedy play? Yeah, you know, we're just going to control the board a little bit here. We don't need 2 of those. Actually, the smarter thing to do would have been to swing first, then do this play, but that's okay. Because then the Rebecca would have been remaining standing, but honestly, I was just going to block with the Rebecca anyway, and so if they do swing into it, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. They're going into leader, which I think is a bigger mistake. Especially because we can do this. And no matter who they turn, it's okay. If they turn Rebecca, that's fine. If they turn Tashigi, I'm just going to block anyway. And we kind of want our Rebecca to die this turn because we have Moria coming out next turn. Yep, we let that go for sure. You don't see too many Bonnies running the beige. I don't know why this person is. But to each their own. Alright, do I just KO here? Is that the call, fam? I think it's just better to develop this, though. You know what? I think we swing, play Kuzan and Rebecca, but Rebecca can't even grab anything back, which is kind of neg right now. But at least it'll establish a blocker, and so I'm just swing 6. My leader's gonna get rested, but we'll just set up one more turn. Or maybe the right play is Moria here. Yeah, I feel stronger. Even if I don't necessarily need. We'll just grab another big body on the board. Next turn we can Kuzan, KO the Cavendish so he stops getting value from it. I'm gonna take this one. He's debating whether he wants to rest these two, I think. Or my leader. I think the right call is to rest Rebecca here. Oh, for my leader, though. Maybe he has a Godoffi. But at this point, we're kind of chilling. I can do the Rebecca into Tashigi cycle. And get rid of his Shanks at that point then. Or attach one to Smoker, -1, and get rid of a 10-drop that he drops. And so both are very strong plays. Wow, okay, was not expecting that. You know, I'm really okay with that. I'm like more than okay with that. Because now his whole board is dead now. It's absolutely dead now. Let's play that out. Ooh, grab another Tashigi. Let's play that. Do that there. We're gonna get the 7K, send this guy to trash. I mean, it's kind of a shame, but I guess I have to go face first. Proper Smoker. And then we'll go 4 into the Apu. if you want to counter, be my guest, and we are chilling now. Wow, he picked no card to draw. He whiffed twice. Sure, you can take the brand new. We like the brand new and trash. It allows us to cycle with Moria. And he can take the Kobe too. Maybe he's gonna drop Basil Hawkins. Okay, it's fine. Here we'll swing that first. Yeah, we can do like a huge cycle here. I'll play the Gecko Moria, Rebecca. I guess I have to get rid of one of my peeps, which I don't want to do necessarily, but I think it's still worth it. We'll get rid of the Searcher. Sure, let the Kobe go. Nice, he plays a Cavendish. And another Basil. I think that was a mistake to swing with that Basil. Because now he has to probably counter with this thing, or let this Basil die, unless he gives us his whole hands. Nice. So if he has a Hody, he has a chance. Except I think I can counter out of one of the attacks if he Hodies. Yeah, he conceded. I don't think there's anything he could have done other than the Hody out. But yeah, this is the Smoker deck. Really strong, really fun. Definitely going to be testing it out a lot more, especially as we get closer to 8.5. But just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a showcase here with the deck. And yep, with that being said, ADAKAI TCG out.